Hey everybody, Bonehead for the Bonehead Podcast, and welcome to Print to Pitch. This is our show where we have a look at everything 3D printed for Blood Bowl, teams, star players, dungeons. If we can 3D print it and use it, it'll probably end up on this playlist. Now, I'm filming this on the last day of May, because I want to make sure that if you've got a 3D printer and you're looking for a decent Patreon to follow, you've got today to make sure that you track down and back UGNI's Nurgle team. It is awesome. The render is cool. It's a little busy, but it is cool. But the models are outrageous. This is hands down my favourite Nurgle team. Yeah, it's just awesome. Anyway, what we're going to do is we're going to have a look at some of the STLs and then the prints. Okay, so they've got a Patreon and they've got a tribe, and it's a swamp style Nurgle team, okay? And the reason they've gone swamp style, it's really more of a fungus style. So if you're looking to fill out your College of Life, this is a pretty good one for you. But the actual overall style, every one of the models just has got gross plant bits and this kind of, you know, the under texture of a mushroom, like the cup. It's got this kind of, it looks like muscle tissue. Every one of these sculpts has just got that kind of texture. It is absolutely disgusting, but so well done. So here we go. We've got some of the rooters, which are obviously not meant to be rotters for the Nurgle team. And you've got the classic kind of Nurgle vibe, but they just absolutely hammer home the mushroom aesthetic, the mushroom textures. And they've not just gone with, you know, your classic chestnut mushrooms or cup mushrooms. They've gone with the big, gross, flat, just growths. And it's gross, and I'm so impressed. You've just got all kinds of fungus and flowers blooming out of this team, which is really cool. Normally we see Nurgle and it's just like big bloaty guys with their innards hanging out and stuff like that. This one is just like nature has reclaimed every element of this team. I mean, I'm assuming it's inspired by like the Last of Us stuff, where there's like fungus mushrooms, fungus zombies. This is kind of that. But it's been so well executed. Every single one of these models is just so much fun. Here we go. We've got two of the gluttons now. The gluttons are the Nurgle warriors, or bloaters, as they call them now. And again, this is it. Like, this sums up the team. You've got bit of intestines, but you've got this kind of bark slash muscle tissue kind of base texture that this creature could have been biological, it could have been like fungus, it could have been just summoned. It's just horrific. And there's 4 of them, and they're brilliant, and they've all got this weird kind of gross flowers blooming on them as well. It's just really outrageously executed. I've been so impressed with this team. And there you go. You've got the other 4 gluttons here. They've got that kind of dark chaos vibe to them, but you've got the underlying plant with a hint of Nurgle. It's really, really impressive. But the pox chargers, which are your pestigores, are just fantastic. Like, these are my favourite models in the set. Oh, the big guy's pretty lovely, actually. Alright, I love these guys. They've got this, just, I don't know how to describe it. Let's flick over to the other ones as well. So, they are, I guess, meant to be your beastmen, vile, but they're actually just, they look more like forest demons, forest gods. Like, I'm sure there's a word for it. I can't remember what type of, like, cryptid it is, but where you've got the skull and the horns, like the skull on the being, and I don't know how to describe it. It's a cool beastman, but they look completely devoid of intelligence. They look more like zombies. They look more like demons. They've done such a good job of just giving these creatures, they just look unnatural, but they've got all the natural textures on them that just make them phenomenally fun models. I really love this, and they've got little bits of like Nurgle to them. You've got bells, you've got that kind of just gribbly aesthetic. Super impressed. However, I guess I forgot about this model. This is just an awesome rot spawn, and it is just an absolute that's just a horrible model. Like, this looks like a proper video game end boss. No, that's not true. This looks like the monster that's just before the end boss, right? This is the one you kill and you're like, yay, we beat the day. And then it turns out that the guy you've been questing with is actually in leagues with the demon, and he turns into a big bad guy. Turok 2 Seeds of Evil really changed me as a gamer. It's just perfect. I've got mine on a 40mm base, and it's just gross. You've got all the viscera, all the armor, all the little horns. It just looks like a massive armored slug that's got stuff growing out of it. It is just a beautifully horrific model. Let's see if we can get the whole team shot. So you've got, in this set, you get 6 rooters with the kind of Rotter vibes. You get 4 of the Chaos Warriors, the Nurgle Warriors, which have got this kind of big burly lad vibe to them. You've got these Forest Spirit, I can't think of what they remind me of. Anyway, you've got these moose things that are just really cool Pestigores, and you've got just one of my favourite big guy models ever with the big Postulator or the Rotspawn. So you know, the problem is with a lot of these Patreons is you see the title page and you think, well, I can't really see what's going on there, so you kind of move on. But you got to delve into it. You've got to check them out, because some of this is just incredible work. And the most magic thing is that the scaling is great, and so is the pre-support. So UGNI knocked it out of the park with this. Let's have a quick look at the STLs. Okay, so the first one we're going to look at is one of the Rotter models. You've got to start with the lineman. Right, okay, so we're going to zoom right in, and you can see just the amount of textures on these models is phenomenal. And it's kind of this bark fungus vibe that we've seen everywhere for all these models. They kind of look like mushroom tree folks. You've got a bit of bone in there. You've got lumpy, bumpy Nurgle bits. You've got some nice dented armor there. And, oh, you've got tiny little flowers. Wow, I actually hadn't noticed that. So they've just, I guess that's like a little bed of moss. You've got nice dead man, Iron Maiden face there as well. And then as you kind of flick around the model, you've got more of this mossy growth on the back. And just some nice bark looking arm. This is, I mean, all of these models have got a ton of detail on them. Again, I can prove this by the fact that I have actually chucked contrast on. It's a different model here. But you can see the detail, and it's just excellently carried over. Right, now I did say that they were fully supported, so let's grab some support dude just so we can show. Now, they come fully supported. I used the supported versions, I think, for all of my models, and they've done a brilliant job. They work great. There's not too much damage on them. And actually, the supporting has been really well received for me anyway. They've got the scale bang on, and they've got the supports bang on, which meant that this was a very easy thing to process and to print, which is nice. Right, let's have a quick look at the Glutton. So, this is one of the Nurgle Warriors. It's the one with the big old mouth on. And again, you've got this sinew mixed with, if you buy this team from this lovely on our metal texture on the web store, it's a really this cool guy will come to do. You've got the fabric of the shorts, and that is because, like I said, I wanted him to have a decent amount of mass to kind of match up with the other tree man. Big spots. You've got the natural textures, and then you've got the clash of the plain or kind of fractured metal, and the shorts and the bell, and it's just a really satisfying mix. So one of the Gluttons is that dude, and then I tell you what, let's go to the Pox Charger next, because the Pox Charger is a good lad, and then I'll tell you what, we'll grab the Postulator too. Here we go. So let's have a look at the Pox Charger first, because I want to show off some of the detail. And again, everything we've just seen is true. Nice teeth, nice texture everywhere, and you've got a nice mixture of those textures too. So tons of detail, and again, really well supported models. But you don't care about that. We are here to look at this big old boy. And while I've said that the sizing of these models is great, it's perfectly fine. I have upscaled him. I've upscaled him in a way that makes him a bit taller, so I think I did 110% all the way around and 115% vertically, just to make him even more imposing as a model. Like, there's nothing wrong with the size of the model, not by a long shot, and there's certainly nothing wrong with all the gross detail. Let's center him in the middle. That is on this model, and I think this is one of the beautiful ones where you've got all the different things to paint, but you don't have to do it. You can literally just chuck some contrast on, do a bit of a dry brush, chuck some team colors on there, and you're good to go. Or you can paint the flowers, the bulbs, the pustules, the ribs, the little, as you've got these little teeth elements on all of the gross bits. It's just wonderful. Now, when I say I scaled it up, what I did was, I believe I took the lock ratio off, or on. I did 110 around, and then vertically, I think I made him 115, which just added a bit of height to him. So that makes him 40 mil high, which I think works out really nicely, and he will fit on a 40 mil base. Again, the pre-support worked great, but when I upscaled him, I supported him myself just to make sure, because you can risk it sometimes, but I really hate cleaning out the resin tray when I get a failed print. So for something like that, when I'm upscaling, I'll do it myself. So we've had a look at the STLs. You can see there's a ton of detail. Let's see if it translates to the prints. Okay, first dude we're going to look at is one of the rotters. I have printed him off, chucked him on a random dungeon base that I had kicking around, and then did what I always do with my models, or at least recently, just chuck on a bunch of Garagax sewer, or Wildwood. I think this is Garagax sewer, but it just allows you to bring up the detail a little bit nicer. I mean, to be fair, the white undercoat is still showing through, so I didn't do a very good job, but you can see you've got all the different textures that are still sticking around on this model. Where's my pointer? Let's grab a paintbrush here. That is a horrible paintbrush. It'll look like a monster on this channel. We don't want that. Here we go. Let's use this one, which is a spare brush I've got kicking around. So let's have a look here. You can see you've got all the different textures, all the different kind of... And this is the beautiful thing about contrast paint, is one coat's going to get you a really nice base for everything. It's pre-shaded, but you can see you've got all the different bits that you can now pick up. So you could speed paint this team in no time at all, because you've already got all the definition there. So you can see you've got the little vines, you can see you've got the different texture on the top here, and I think if we flick it around like that, you can see some of the little flowers that are just tucked away in the detail. And these are a bit of a work of art, I think. This is just the gribbliest team, but it's really captured just like what the forest floor, what a swamp kind of looks like, with this mixture of blooming plants and rotting fungus. It's just a remarkable thing to pull off. Like, it's very Nurgle. Like, Nurgle is all about disease, but it's also about life and the gardens of Nurgle, and it's just phenomenal. Right, size test. Rotters are a strength 3 player, and actually with the base, they're a teensy bit underneath our nobility thrower on the left there. But actually, if you size them up straight overhead, this is 100% scale. They're good as gold. So the rotters, again, an absolute pass from me. Let's grab one of the Pox chargers. Oh yeah, I love these models. They are absolutely so cool. Wendell? Something Wendell. I don't know. Grendel. No, not Grendel. God, I'm gonna... Wendigo. I think Wendigo is what I'm thinking of. Anyway, you've got the kind of the same texture as the rotters, but you've got this very cool skull helmet, skull face, and you've got these gribbly like antlers, which are actually, I think, potentially mushrooms, because it's growing out of his eyeball. But again, you've just got a ton of texture all the way around the model. There's great posing. There's 4 different ones, which is just fantastic. Like, you can definitely pick out that this is your dude, your Pestigore, and it's just looking like so much fun to paint. I'm super impressed with all of these models, and again, from a scale point of view, it works out brilliantly. He's got a good match up to the nobility dude, and the contrast has kind of pulled out a nice size different, nice bit of shadow there as well. So we're gonna give that guy a pass on the scale. And let's have a look at the Nurgle warrior. There we go. If we get a little bit more into focus, you can see all the sinew all that kind of fungus muscle just pulling out everywhere. And this is with a heavy coat of contrast. So you know that it's just one team color, whether you go kind of brown or fleshy. Like if you wanted to go like a flesh color, these would be horrifically gross, which I think would actually be a lot of fun. But again, you can see all the detail that's come out really nice. You've got all the vines on the legs as well, and I don't know, I just really like what these models are doing. So size wise, let's grab a strength 3 dude. And appropriately, the strength 3 dude is significantly smaller than Mr. Nurgle Warrior there. If you do the overhead shot, you can see that from a mass point of view, he's bigger than the thrower. We'll grab a strength 4 piece with the Black Orc, and actually they are of comparable mass and size, which again, I think brings them bang on into place. And if you put them next to one of your linemen, you can definitely see that this is a strength 4 chonker. Now, talking of chonkers, we've got our upscaled Rotspawn here. And again, I've given him all the delicate, jolly good contrasting that I have with all the other models on this team. And you can see all of the brilliant details. It's just this weird armored slug. And you can go brown, green, weird alien tones, weird demonic tones. It's just an excellent model. And it's a bit of a shame you can only take one in the team, because actually this is a very, very, very cool pose and a really good execution. All the textures that you want. Now, this is the one that I scaled, made him kind of bigger and a little bit taller just to get that height. And the reason for that is I just wanted him to overshadow a human. Now, the Rotspawn model itself is a low model because it's a slug body, right? It's not going to be standing as tall as a dude with 2 feet and 2 legs. But actually, when you upscale him a little bit, he just adds more mass. Now, this is on a 40mm base, so he's not massive. Well, it kind of looks very good, doesn't it? There you go. He's not absolutely massive, but he's of a good size and a good height, which I think is the most imposing thing about a big guy. So when you line him up with the rest of your team, he's chunky big enough. And if you put him next to one of your linemen, he doesn't tower over him, but he's got a big amount of mass. Now, don't get me wrong, the insane amount of tentacles is going to absolutely give it away that this is your Rotspawn. But, I mean, a little bit of an upsizing there I think's really helped. Now on we've got this team on the shop, and the Rotspawn is the slightly upscaled version, just because it is the best way to do it. But again, this model here, beautiful. And there you have it, the Nurgle team from UGNI, the swamp style Nurgle team with the pox chargers and everything. I just wanted to get this video out here because if you are a 3D printer, don't miss it. Like, grab it this month. If you're watching this video after the end of the month, sorry I didn't get there earlier, but you can probably still pick it up. I think the STLs on UGNI aren't too bad after the fact. Or if you just want a really cool painting project to a really cool Nurgle team, you can pick it up on Etsy or something. We have this on our shop as well, because it's just an awesome team with awesome models. And we are in the proper golden age of Blood Bowl, and this is why I didn't want to go underneath the radar, because it is just, like I said, this is my favourite Nurgle team. And if you're brewing up cool Dungeon Bowl stuff, then the theme here fits really well with the College of Life. College of Life being, you know, your Wood Elves, your Tree Dudes, your Mushroom Snotlings and stuff like that. But this is a really cool way to bind that together with a bit of a theme. So, again, really, really, really cool. Anyway, that's the UGNI Nurgle team. I'm going to wrap up. Thank you very much for watching. We'll be back soon with more Bubba content. Happy printing. Thanks very much for watching. We really appreciate your support. If you want to support the channel even further, please like and subscribe. It really does help us out. Or come join us on YouTube Members or in Patreon, where you can get exclusive access to some content, some loot, early access to basically everything we do, as well as regular competitions. Or you can pick up some Bonehead Podcast loot either on our website at boneheadpodcast.com. We've got the Dungeon Bowl things, we've got tokens and stuff like that, or on our Spreadshirt site as well. Everything you do just helps us make more content and hopefully do it of better quality. Anyway, thank you very much for watching. Happy blocking.